Wrestling Podcast. Watch global. Support local. It's the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The move.
Not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out. Here we go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the B Plus land. I am Mr. Mysterious, and welcome to All The Rest. Do you like our new theme song? We just released it on our latest Aussie Grats podcast. Go listen to that. I'm very excited to finally be able to showcase it to you guys. As much as I love the ones that we had in the past, I feel like we need to do a bit of a change. We need a bit more upbeat tempo, and hopefully you guys agree. Let us know what you think about it. I'm just excited to be talking to you about the wacky, weird world that we call professional wrestling, and for all the rest as well, where we talk about all the wrestling news that you don't usually see, or just to give you a big recap of what's gone on this week. The debris and the dust still hasn't been settled fully from WrestleMania weekend, and wrestling's still going. There's no off-season, which I'll touch on in a second as well. It never ends, guys, and we're going to be here every step of the way to keep you guys informed. Housekeeping, as always, birthday news. Bit quiet before I start. There's none at the time I'm recording, but hopefully for April 14th when this gets released, we have WWE Hall of Famer, 4-time Women's Champion Lita, turns 44 from Team Extreme. Happy birthday to her. Got Marina Shafir, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She turns 31. Of course, she's a part of the NXT brand. She's a former MMA fighter. And we've got the late Bryan Adams. No, not Summer of 69 Bryan Adams. I'm talking about the wrestler, former WCW and WWF Tag Team Champion. Would have turned 45. So rest in peace to him, and let us know if you remember the late, great Bryan Adams. I'm going to be talking to you guys about MLW, a bit of All Elite Wrestling, NWA, who's injured, who's not. There's a lot of injuries, guys. Spoilers alert. And just what else is happening in this whole wacky week that we've had. So what better place to start, guys, than MLW talking about their big show, Battle Riot 2, main evented by the big 40-man Battle Riot. I do enjoy the Battle Riots. We've only had the one before this, but I love the rules behind this. You need to spice up Royal Rumbles, and the fact that you add the whole pinfalls and submissions, it adds that extra element, especially if there are big guys in the ring, which there always are. How can we defeat them? They're so tall. This was a really great show from the jump. The moment I saw this, because I watched last week, I watched United We Stand, and that kind of lingered in my peripheral from watching MLW. Just immediately, the production value with this is so much better. Just the lighting, the way they've got the hard camera for this, it looked sublime. Interesting enough, there was a bit of blood in the ring from God knows what happened beforehand, so I'm curious in the next other episodes of MLW, we'll be able to see exactly what happened during the show. But before we started the first match, the Dynasty, the trio of Alexander Hammerstone, MJF, and Richard Holiday were shown seated at ringside. Whether they bribed someone, whether they stole their spots, probably the latter, to be fair. And we had the first match, Teddy Hart versus Ace Austin for the MLW Middleweight Championship. This was a very quick one. Only went for about 10 minutes. I'm surprised these guys could have gone a lot longer. What can you say? Ace Austin is one of the biggest rising stars in the indie scene for MLW and Impact. And Teddy Hart's just freaking Teddy Hart. He's the king of MLW right now. Double champ. Hart did an early lung blower. Austin rolled down to the ringside. At one point, Hart walked over to the Dynasty area. They've got champagne. He swigged a bit. And I love Jim Cornette on commentary. He's like, I thought Teddy was on the wagon. And he just threw some of the champagne as a security guard. As you do. Austin caught kick. He had a couple kicks from the apron. He did a few little flips and leg drops and stuff like that. But really, when Teddy Hart got going, we did a big Super Canadian Destroyer from the top rope, followed up with a second one in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Teddy Hart has retained the MLW Middleweight Championship. Good showing for Ace, I will say. He did turn his back on Teddy a couple times, just like, you're hungry for the title, mate. Show a bit of consistency there. After this, though, this was a bit bizarre. Hart went down to ringside. I loved he took a bit of the mat outside on the apron. He put it onto the barricade, and he's just kind of leaning on it, just looking at the Dynasty. I thought that was pretty funny. Casey Lennox comes out, and she's saying, who have you got your eye on? And like the Dynasty are right there, Casey. Jeez, like, have some sense about you. But no, Teddy says that he's got his eye on Alexander Hammerstone, saying that there's something about MJF's balls being in Hammerstone's mouth. Teddy does a few bars, you know, and they start shoving one another. And surprisingly, he tries to befriend Richard Holiday, saying, "You seem like a smart young man. Shake my hand." And Holiday's like, no, why would I do that? Like, the Dynasty is the best thing going for him now. Otherwise, he'd just be lingering in the middleweight division. There's a bit of a weird back and forth. And then all of a sudden, MJF smashes a champagne bottle over Teddy Hart's head. And whether this is fact or fiction or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is it's furthering the story. So I'm okay with it. It seems like Teddy Hart got a concussion. He was rushed to hospital and he was unable to compete in the Battle Riot. So it leads up to the story with the Hart Foundation going up against the Dynasty. Keeps that going. Solid opener, can't complain. The next match we had was Mayan Reed going up against Minoru Tanaka. I popped so hard for this. If you're familiar with Minoru, check out our Kings of Sport Universe podcast, where we talk more about the Japanese promotions over there. But I was surprised because Mayan Reed came out with Rich Swann. He's no longer suspended. And I was surprised that it's a legitimate team. These guys are united front. I thought that Mayan would be more of a follower or I don't know. I didn't feel like it was a equal footing team, but nope. It seems like they're both doing it. They both got tape over their mouths saying that they feel like they've been gagged and they aren't allowed to speak their mind and that everyone's out to get them. All that jazz. This was a fun match. I rarely see Minoru Tanaka. I don't watch much of the Japanese wrestling, but I'm familiar with. The guy does not, you'll be surprised. He's won all 5 junior heavyweight championships in 5 of the big Japanese promotions. Does not look 47. He looks like he's in his early 30s at least. My God, the guy still looks incredible. Still can fly around the ring. It gave Myron something to do. Myron did a huge stunner for a 2 count. We had a lot of back and forth with the referee, as we do because of that storyline going forward. Reed followed up with a cutter for a near fall. Tanaka came back with a couple kicks. And I love the finish for this because Tanaka just said, you know what, screw it. He rolls him up in a cross arm breaker, then he hooks Reed's leg and pins him. And he could have held it there for like a 10 count. He just held him there for a good 6-7 seconds. It was brilliant how he did it. And they just clearly he's had some Boy Scout training there. Like, congratulations to you, Minoru Tanaka. Hopefully we see more of you in MLW moving forward. We had a couple promos, guys, because Tanaka we didn't stay out for long. Lennox was back. Casey Lennox was backstage with Selena, and I'm trying to piece together from last week and this week how Selena said she had the advantage going into Battle Riot, and the advantage is that she gets to pick first for the numbers. I don't know. So all promotions Dorano are there. Low-key, LA Hijo and Ricky Martinez. All of a sudden, Sami Callihan comes out saying, "I want my money." And they're like, "What are you talking about? You're a joke. Get out of the way." And I'm surprised that we're keeping this storyline going because Sami looks like a buffoon in MLW, but to be fair, I prefer that over the putrid spit takes and everything else he does in Impact. So by all means, Sami, keep at it. But in this kerfuffle, while Promociones Dorados are kicking out Sami, who would walk by but good old Mance Warner. He swaps some of their numbers, and then throughout the event, Promociones Dorados are going after certain members of the MLW roster, trying to coax them out of getting their better numbers in the Battle Riot, see how they do. They talk to, I believe, Brian Pillman first, and he's just distracted by Selena's bust. And he's just like, "Hi, Booblina. Hi, boobs. Hi, Selena. Boobs." So if you wanted the conclusion from that storyline, from that promo, boobs. Selena looked gorgeous, by the way. I'm not going to lie. I cannot fault him for that. But then she goes up to a couple of other guys. There was this really poor promo. As much as I love this whole event as a whole, there's one guy that she talked to saying "Hi, can I have your number? My phone number? No, your Battle Riot number, you idiot." There was a moment where LA Park and his son ganged up on this kid. I'll remember the name later on. And Ricky Martinez stole his number. They beat him down, but they didn't do the sounds. So that they're just kind of they should have sped it up or something. It looks so bad. I'm not going to lie, guys. That was a blip in an otherwise strong pay-per-view. We had Tom Lawler versus Jimmy Havoc in a street fight for the MLW Heavyweight Championship. This is exactly what I expected. No build-up on the side of Jimmy Havoc, but everything Tom Lawler. I don't know. I don't know what else I would have expected from this match. It was bloody. It was violent. It had some comedic spots in it because of like Tom Lawler. He seems to be leaning towards that element. He's UFC John Cena, and I don't know. We'll see how we go with that. But I'm hoping that he gets a little bit more serious going forward, especially with the new challenges that are on the horizon. I'll be talking about that in a second. But yeah, straight from the start, Tom Lawler pulled out a chair from underneath the ring. There was the staple guns. There was DDTs in the middle of the ring. There was Havoc did a bit of a hurricanrana. Lawler applied a figure four leg lock, but Havoc used a staple gun on Lawler to break it. A lot of staple gun spots here, I'm not going to lie. Rich Bikini said that Lawler was bleeding so heavily it could result in an athletic commission stoppage, which I love that. I love that bit of commentary because, again, MLW is all about the sport, all about making sure that these are not superstars. These are wrestlers. These are athletes. This is the next fight. This is the next battle. I love that commentary by them. Havoc started licking Tom Lawler's head, which led to some "you sick, you know what" chants from the crowd. Havoc grabbed the referee, gave him an acid rainmaker clothesline. The ref got bumped. Then a Death Valley driver move. Tom Lawler did the Death Valley driver onto Jimmy Havoc, threw a board in the corner, and it was like a door. It wasn't a table. It was a freaking door. Lawler got 2 pinfalls, but the referee was still down. Second ref came out. Havoc kicked out at the last moment. Havoc flipped him off, as he always does. Lawler delivered a knee to the chair, repeating the spot, pinned Havoc clean, 1, 2, 3. Tom Lawler is still the MLW Heavyweight Champion. But for how long? Because we have a new contender of the Battle Riot. And I'll be talking about this. This whole Battle Riot. I love this whole setup, the way the storyline progressed. It was a long rumble. I've seen longer with like WWE and a couple others, but with what time they had and how they managed it, perfect. So we started at who got the unlucky number 1 spot, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And you think he'd be pissed off, you think he'd be upset, but no, he cut a big promo in the ring saying, those 39 other guys in there, they can't hold a candle to me because I'm MJF and I'm better than all of you assholes. Which, like, MJF, man, your partners are in that 40. You got Holiday and Hammerstone. Like, don't say anything you want to regret. We don't want the dynasty to break up too early because, my God, the dynasty needs you right now. But he's saying all this shit, how he's the ultimate fighter. And no one else can hold a candle to him. And this brought out number 2, Dan the Beast 7. So good to see him again. Like 61 years old, still looks terrific. Had the UFC championship that he had, like only UFC Hall of Famer Triple Crown champion. Look him up, guys. If you've never heard of Dan the Beast 7, seriously, he is everything I hype him up to be and more. But yeah, straight from there, I won't go through all the entries because I'd be here all day. And I will say though, like Jim Cornette, he was talking about how someone described getting attacked by a fight with Dan 7 as like prison rape by Freddie Mercury. It's just like, where did that come from? Where the hell did that come from? But like, it was, yeah, that's how it kind of went. We had Hiho after that. We had Airwolf. Minoru Tanaka came out afterwards. We had some new entrants in here. Jordan Oliver, I don't think I've seen before in MLW. Like, this is the perfect chance to showcase the rising stars, and not only MLW, but the independent scene, which is why we brought over the Avalanche, Robert Dreisker from WXW. He eliminated Phoenix, which was a big thing for him. Like, Pentagon and Phoenix, they kind of had a little bit of brother versus brother spat, but surprisingly, like, Phoenix got eliminated straight away. I thought he'd be lasting a lot longer. Ace Romero came out. We had the Dirty Blondes made an appearance, which, yeah, good for them. They came out with a cowbell. We needed more cowbell in this, like, Battle Riot. Damn it, I figured out a fault. But no, all jokes aside, guys, we had Kodo Brazil come out, still with the eye patch, still not sure about that. We had Ray Horace come out, big spot, a big pop for him when he did his big DDT on the way down. I love that spot from Lucha. We had Myron Reed and Rich Swan come out. Like, I'm just going off the names here, guys. Jimmy Uta made an appearance. It's been a while since we've seen him. But really, we split this Battle Riot kind of split into two things. We had the first half, and it was split between the moment that Contra showed up. So entrant number, I believe 22, was Jacob Fatu. And it looked like he was ready to jump in the ring, but all of a sudden, Joseph Samael and Simon Gotch entered the ring illegally because I don't know what the Contra unit are exactly doing. They're just causing havoc. Why they haven't been suspended, I don't know. It's weird because MLW, they fine competitors, they suspend them, they do all this shit. Contra unit have received no repercussions. They try and set people on fire, and there's no fine. Loki shanked Conan just last month, like the month before. He got fined about 75 grand or something like that. Contra unit, nothing. I have no idea what we're doing with this, but like, they should at least be arrested or something. I think commentary tried to say like they tried to get arrested, but it's very bizarre what they're doing with the Contra unit. They're just maniacs. It was what we got because they tried to light about 3 or 4 different people on fire, and like they got stopped by referees and security, and they're kind of like, oh, but we wanted to burn people. Fatu did his freaking amazing best moonsault ever a couple times. Security cleared the Contra unit from the ring. All this kerfuffle. MJF, Iron Man, he's the one who lasted the most in this Battle Riot. He pinned Ray Horus, Jimmy Uta, Kota Brazil, one after the other. It was a funny spot. He tried to pin Romero, but Romero kicked out. So not only is MJF the Iron Man, but he received the most pinfalls out of the entire Battle Riot. So more for him, man, more for him. And then out comes, so we get the second half. We had Brian Pillman Jr. They square off, but Pillman eliminates MJF with a super kick. Daisy Boy comes out to support his partner. Then randomly, LAX show up. Freaking amazing to see them, but because we had House of Glory, Impact, and MLW, they all kind of coincided with each other, so they're in the area. But surprisingly, like, what the hell are they doing here? I was so happy to see them. But then they didn't come out for very long. They were eliminated like straight away. Like, what the hell happened? Loki came out next. Pillman fought him off. LA Park came out. And yeah, we keep going through all these spots. Daga came out and he's still pissed off at Loki for cutting off his ear, which do not blame him at all. Do not blame him. We keep going through, guys. We saw Lance Anawahi, which awesome to see him, especially with his dad, with the issues going on with him. And then we had the final entrant was Richard Holiday making his way to the ring. He took his sweet time. After all the eliminations, or after everything that came on, we came down to Final 4. Mance Warner, Alexander Hammerstone, Sami Callihan, and L.A. Park. Old Mance and Hammerstone, they ended up trading blows on the apron. Warner got the better of it, but they pretty much, Sami Callihan knocked Warner off the apron. So those two were both down. Surprisingly, the final two, L.A. Park and Sami Callihan. And straight away I knew who was going to win from that because Sami Callihan has been treated like a joke this entire time. And surprisingly, I would not have picked this, but I'm so happy. LA Park is the new #1 contender for the MLW Heavyweight Championship. I am so excited. I am so excited for this. He can cash it in whenever he wants. The Destroyer against freaking Tom Lawler. I'm curious how this is going to be, like, especially if LA wins. I hope he wins. I would much prefer him as the champion than Tom Lawler. But I'm curious if it's going to cause some friction in Promociones because Loki, like, he wants to be champion. Or, like, they could have a tussle between LA and Loki. I can see a lot of story developments from this. I am so happy with it. Park has the golden ticket that makes him the Battle Riot winner. And then before we cut to the finish, Cornette says Lawler is in the hands of Selena. And at the very end, Tom Lawler has a press conference. He's talking about Contra. He's talking about LA Park. And, of course, the Contra unit attack him because, of course, they do. We end with, who's going to stop these maniacs? And that was Battle Riot 2. That was awesome. I loved this entire thing. That is how you do a pay-per-view. The Impact, take notes. That is exactly how you do a pay-per-view. Production, wrestling, story. That was amazing. I have no faults with it. I've been continuing on for Battle Riot for a long time. I do apologize, guys, but we'll get on to some All Elite Wrestling news, and as always, we'll talk about Being the Elite, episode 146, Pissant. We had the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks talking about basketball game. Kenny's trying to say, oh, no, I know basketball, but clearly he doesn't. MJF, he's going up to Brandy saying, hey, I think I'm closer to your closer to your husband than ever before because he gave me the big Rocky speech last week. He was really weird. He's a crazy bastard. And all of a sudden, like, Brandy's like, hey, get it straight. He's not crazy. He's insane. And she kisses him on the cheek, and MJF's just like, what the hell is wrong with you people? So the C word in the Rhodes household is crazy. Do not say crazy in front of either of them, guys. It must be the house. It's like something about when they're at their house, they get more wacky, they get more weird. Who knows? We had a bit of SCU. Like, I love this Sammy Guevara. He's doing his vlog or something or other, and he's trying to get Cody involved, and Cody's saying, like, you know what? Cut the act, mate. I can see a heel from a mile away. Stop acting like this, you absolute prick. Like, you may be Jericho's best wrestler, but you know what? You disgust me. Walks off, and Sammy's like, wow, Chris Jericho knows who I am. That's so cool. And it's like, wow, poor Cody. Like, I thought we were over this. Like, MJF is just gonna break his heart again. Man, I have no idea where they're going with this, but we'll keep going with it. At our latest women's, I forget the promotion, but the latest AEW crashing was at a women's promotion, and Brandy Rhodes came out with Dr. Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. They stopped this kerfuffle. They saved Kylie Rae, and it looks like they're saving Kylie Rae, but Nyla's just like, no, I've got other plans, and she kind of has a stare down, and Brandy and Britt Baker have to kind of keep her away from Smiley Kylie, which more set up for there. Why not? Brandy's talking to Justin Roberts. This is my favorite part of the episode. She's saying, like, the kitchen is your area. Like, this whole place is your area to just do vocal lessons, exercises, rehearse, do what you want. No one's going to stop you. And he's like, okay, as long as you're sure. And, like, Cody comes to do get a cup of coffee, like, the American Nightmare, Cody! And he's like, cool. And all of a sudden, he's like, one of the guys, I forget his name, he's in the toilet, and Justin Roberts, he peeks over from up above the toilet, and he starts chanting as well, just saying, and now! That's gonna be another bit going forward, I can guarantee it. We get some more stuff from the Chicago convention from a few weeks ago. We already know this, but the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks are facing off at Double or Nothing for the AAA World Tag Team Championships. They're going to be on the line. More like, as much as we all knew about this, I love the fact that the host for it was Andre from Black Nerd Comedy. Like, hit him up, guys. He is hilarious. And yeah, that was a little bit more stuff from there. Hangman Page, he's received a DVD from Park. He put it in his CD player, and he played it on his phone. Don't try and think about it, guys. It hurts your head. But it shows him watching, like, Park watching what Hangman Page is doing, saying, you're never going to be full gear ready. Like, Park, you're a bastard. Don't body shame him. Like, which, yeah. He makes kids cry. He body shamed guys. What an absolute bastard. God, how we love him. With the Elite talking, and apparently Kenny Omega spent all of the annual budget on this one music video to promote Fyter Fest. June 29th, we're going to have scantily clad women, like these models, and we're going to have some wrestling too. Why not? check out the video, guys. It's different. It's like, what? And they're just saying, like, Kenny, just watch the documentary. Like, this is a bad idea. He's like, I will watch it another day. Not tonight. And they're just saying, oh, you idiot. But yeah, that was Being the Elite. And then we had Road to Double or Nothing. It came out this morning. Surprised us out of the blue. And they had some announcements for the over-budget Battle Royal. We have Glacier from WCW, man. Finish him. He's going to be a part of the Battle Royal. We're going to have Brian Pillman Jr. I hope he is All Elite permanently. He's going to be a part of the All Elite Wrestling roster. I goddamn hope so. I want him, like, some of the team might disagree with me, but I want him as far away from WWE as possible. The Hart Foundation need to do their own thing. They are the hottest indie stable at the moment. That you got Teddy Hart, you got Davey Boy, you got Pillman. Hopefully Benoit's son one day. My God, let me have this. Let me have this. And then they're talking about also, we get to see some more stuff from Kylie Ray saying that she's happy to be in All Elite Wrestling. Nyla Rose laying down the smacks, just showing how intimidating she is. The Elite have a new kids book, which like Dusty Rhodes looks like the mullet on him in the artwork for that children's book. God, he looks so awesome. Rest in peace, American Dream. And we ended after Nyla Rose is done scaring the shit out of everyone, myself included. We end with the announcement that Darby Allin, freaking former pro skater, he's only been a recent wrestler on the scene, but he's going to be announced for All Elite Wrestling. I don't know if he'll be a part of Double or Nothing. Maybe he's just part of the Rumble. But he is going to be facing none other than Cody Rhodes at Fyter Fest. Fyter Fest. The bloody... Listen to their music video. It is... If nothing else, you'll hear from this Fyter Fest. But that was All Elite Wrestling, guys. We had some NWA news. Finally. I've been worried about this for a while. But finally, we have the NWA news about the Crockett Cup because it's only a couple weeks away. I'm very excited. We know the tournament brackets. We have Block A. We have the Briscoes go up against the Rock and Roll Express. Satoshi Kojima and Yuji Nagata versus PCO and Brody King, Villain Enterprises. In Block B, we have Flip Gordon and Bandito going up against Stuka Jr. and Guerrera Maya Jr. We have Jax Dane and Crimson versus the winner of a wild card battle royal that will take place that night. The winners of both blocks will go to the finals and determine this year's Crockett Cup winner. Not to mention, guys, all of the NWA titles will be on the line. We have Jazz going up against Sienna. 1,000 Day Reign. I hope they give her like a newly minted NWA Women's Championship. She so deserves it. She's freaking amazing. For the national title, we have Willie Mack going up against Colt Cabana. And for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, for the 10 pounds of gold, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Aldis against the villain Marty Scurll. He didn't get the Ring of Honor title. Like, I'm glad Matt Tevin won it, but I was barracking for Marty. I think he can do it. I'm not going to lie. I think Marty will win the 10 pounds of gold. We've been setting up this story for a while. And going into All Elite Wrestling again with the title, the story there, it sets up so perfectly. I hope they're able to do it. We'll see how we go. But that was the indie news, guys. Before I get into like the injuries and the signings and all the other wacky stories that come across my desk, let's hear from Greg with our sponsors.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, OUTBREAK Nutrition. OUTBREAK Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at OUTBREAK Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNUTRITION.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNUTRITION.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
And we are back, guys. Kicking things off, let's talk about the signings, the injuries, who's leaving, who's staying, who wants to stay, who wants to leave. I'm going to break it down for you all right now. Signings now. We've had a couple of announcements, as I mentioned before, with All Elite Wrestling, how Brian Pillman, Glacier, Darby Allin, but also Hiraku Shida, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, is now All Elite, the Joshi freelancer. She's going to be part of the women's division over there. The Joshi talent in All Elite Wrestling are going to surprise everybody. I cannot wait to see it, guys. I'm hoping that this is going to be fantastic. In terms of signings, there's not very many, to be honest. Like, the dust is kind of still lingering from WrestleMania week. We have Josiah Williams, though. He's from Hustle and Flow. He's going to be part of the media team for the WWE Performance Center. So if you notice that the Instagram has a little bit more spice to it, that's why. That's Josiah. Like, congratulations to him. This is a rumor. We don't know if this is true or not, but Beth Phoenix, so she's actually is going to be doing the WWE European tour this year, which I thought that after WrestleMania, she had a big match with Natalya for the tag titles. Didn't quite work out their way. Of course, the Iconics won that. Bit of Aussie pride for them. Congratulations to them. I would not be upset with Beth Phoenix continued. I'm not sure where this is going, whether we're going to have Natalya and Beth Phoenix continually keep at it until they get the tag titles down the line. I'm not against it, but I'll need a little bit more context going forward. So whatever happens, more glamour's on. She's still in great shape. Good to her. Now, I could talk about this for ages, but the injuries. My God. 2 words, guys. Off season. This is proof positive why wrestlers need breaks, because there have been so much injuries announced after WrestleMania week. It's ridiculous. I'm going to try and get through them as best I can. But yeah, I mentioned at the start of the video, at the start of the podcast, Teddy Hart believed to have a concussion. I feel like this is more of a work rather than a shoot for this one, but we'll see how we do. AJ Styles, after his match with Randy Orton, he landed wrong on his hip, and it looks like he's going to be out of action for about a couple months there. He's saying that his left side hit before his right just a little bit, and he's saying it's his fault. Like, when you take a suplex from about 15 feet in the air, kind of knocked his hips out of place, and he thought it was okay at first, but then the next day, the nerves started to act up on him. So, freaking phenomenal one. Look after yourself, man. We hope to see you very soon. I can't imagine SmackDown, especially with the superstar shakeup happening soon, like what this means, especially if everyone's injured, how much it will affect. We have this one, Don't You Dare Be Sour. Because Big E, freaking Big E, has done his meniscus. He's going to be out for about 6 weeks. Like, clearly he can do the split still, which, good on him. Like, amazing flexibility from Big E, my God. And I love the announcement that WWE did, saying that he's going to be out of action for about 6 weeks, and Big E responded with, not all kinds of action. And it's like, ooh, Big E, you player. But we had, God, this is ridiculous, guys. Rhea Ripley, she torn some ligaments in her left foot. She's going to be out for about 8 weeks. She's been wearing that moon boot for a while. We thought it was like a minor injury, and it was like a precaution thing, but clearly it's more serious than we thought. Like, freaking look after yourself, Rhea. We're all rooting for you. Daniel Bryan, this is rumored. This isn't confirmed yet, but interesting enough, Daniel Bryan wasn't on this week's episode of SmackDown. It's believed he might be injured. We don't know what's going on there. Apparently, Drew McIntyre might potentially is injured, if you believe the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And the reason that he didn't. The latest episode of SmackDown, it was a main event, a 6-man tag main event. Drew walked out to make himself look strong, and at the same time, because he might be sporting an injury, we don't know. I keep going. Utami Hayashida, I'm sorry if I mispronounce. She's got a broken thumb. Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, has got an elbow injury. He's going to be out for a little while. Friggin' Mayu Iwatani out with a knee injury. Rey Mysterio, I think he's still dealing with an injury as well. And this one, fresh off the desk, Nia Jax has done not one, but both of her ACLs. This one sucks so much because an ACL injury usually takes about 6 months, 9 months to heal, but both legs, Jesus Christ, she hasn't wrestled much in the last month. I think she's only done like 5 or 6 matches, and she wrestles on Raw, but she wasn't really doing much. Jesus, it's come at the worst time. Say what you will about Nia Jax, with how safe she is or whatever, but in terms of the performer, we wish Nia Jax a speedy recovery. We wish everybody a speedy recovery, because this is just poor news to be talking to you guys about. I don't want to keep talking about injuries because, my God, we'll be here forever. People who are leaving, getting the sad news out of the way, guys. So, I didn't get to mention this last week because it was fresh off, but Eli Drake is leaving Impact. He was unable to renegotiate with them. This sucks because Greg and I have been reviewing Impact for the past few weeks, and he seemed like he had a storyline going on with Eddie Edwards. They look like they were going to be the next great comedic tag team, go for the tag titles, and now that's going to be all washed away. I'm curious how much more taping we have of him before he just leaves. He might turn on Eddie. I don't know. How they're going to manage it, I don't know. In Impact, they keep having people sign, people leave. It's just a constant influx, which thank God they have the OVW contract. Otherwise, they'd be screwed. We have Bobby Lashley has been teasing that he wants to maybe do some more Bellator fights, whether in the heavyweight or the junior division, I'm not exactly too sure. But he wants to go back to do some mixed martial arts, which the guy's 42. He hasn't got much longer to do it if he was ever going to do it. He's no longer the Intercontinental Champion. The Almighty might be leaving WWE soon. We don't know. And this was a surprise retirement, I heard. So, there was a career on the line at WrestleMania 35, but the person who actually retired after WrestleMania is not who you think. It's the Animal, Batista. For realsies this time, for the final time, if you believe him. But he finally got his WrestleMania moment. He wanted to come back just one more time. I think he's been waiting 4 years to be able to do this, to come back as a proper heel after the fiasco that was Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement, and him coming and winning the Royal Rumble and just saying screw you to everyone, all the current superstars, and being inserted into the main event. Batista and Randy Orton again. Evolution members again. We all know that wasn't going to be the plan, and if remember from CM Punk stuff. But Dave Batista, say what you will, they had an amazing match. I haven't spoken about WrestleMania yet, but it harkened back to the days of old. Two guys, nearly, one of them's in their 50s, I think. I can't remember which one. I think Batista might be older than Triple H, to be honest. But, yeah, they put on a hell of a show. Went longer than I thought it would, but it was wacky, it was bombastic, it was violent. I loved it. The moment I heard that it was going to be for Triple H's career, I knew that Batista was going to lose, because there is more money to be had from Triple H having a career-ending match. We're not, especially with the Saudi shows, we're not done with him, God. But it was a very heartfelt thing. Obviously, you won't see him come back until he gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, because he's going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame at some point. Big congratulations to you, Dave Batista. I'm happy you got the heel storyline that you wanted. It worked out fantastic. You were able to work the crowd. You had the hometown thing with just screw you, Triple H, in your hometown. Love it. Leaving, though, like, potentially. Now we move on to the other stories throughout the week because a lot of potentiallys, a lot of other news has come out. Nia Jax, so I talked about Nia, but Sasha Banks is apparently pissed off at WWE management and has been thinking about leaving WWE because of the result from WrestleMania 35. So for those of you unaware, the Boston Hug Connection, Sasha and Bayley lost the women's tag team titles to the Iconics, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. And this, if you believe the rumors, so this is all allegedly, they were under the impression that they were going to hold the titles for a lot longer, give them some credibility before losing them, because the Iconics are more of a comedic heel faction. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, we love the Iconics, like, Aussie Pride here representing. But they were under the impression that, yeah, they've only just been, it's only been, 2 months, if that? They've only had a couple of defenses of the tag titles, and they were under the impression that they were going to have them for a lot longer. I thought we were going to have the 4 Horsewomen moment. We were going to have, like, we had the opportunity to have all the 4 Horsewomen with all the gold at the end of WrestleMania 35, and it didn't happen. Like, very surprised by all of it. But, and Sasha's been unhappy for a while. She's been, when people have been tweeting stuff, like saying that they might be thinking about leaving, she's kind of like saying, can I come too? She was meant to appear on a talk show, I believe the Wendy Williams show, and had to cancel for, at first, like, family issues for personal reasons, which, when you hear that, just like, oh god, I hope she's okay. Maybe she's lost someone in her family. But then add to this, and even, like, her partner Bayley, it's been added that she's also pissed off about what's happened, so it's not just her. And Sasha's husband has been posting stuff that's alluding to her maybe thinking about moving on. I mean, it's a tough thing to talk about, guys, because, like, yes, like, Sasha has been a workhorse with WWE for the longest time, and she does deserve to have the spotlight. It seems like whenever she's got the spotlight, because she's won the women's titles before, but every time she has the spotlight, it doesn't last long. It gets taken away from her. Something happens. Like, I'm trying to remember her big, like, ever since NXT, her main roster run, WWE have kind of mistreated her in a lot of ways. I was expecting the Boston Hug to break up and do a heel, like Sasha to go heel again. It didn't happen. Very, very weird time. I wouldn't be surprised if Sasha started looking elsewhere and just kicked ass on the indie scene and came back and saying, this is what you missed. I would be okay with it. Like, if there's, we talk about this already, like, the moment someone is apparently dissatisfied with WWE or dissatisfied with their current promotion, just like, they're going to AEW. I would love for her to go to AEW. Like, that women's roster, man, she could kick ass on that roster. Like, she would have the best time. But you know what? Whether or not, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks what will happen there. That's all the injuries and the leavings, guys. Like, let's talk about all the other news from this week. Now, I didn't get to talk about this because it happened the very next day after I recorded, but the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, when Bret Hart was inducting his Jim the Anvil Neidhart, his tag team partner, loyal brother, you know, and some asshole, you can't call him a fan, some actual asshole just jumped the barricade and like attacked him, and everyone was on him in a second. Like, clearly a mentally disturbed person. Like, I've tried to refrain from giving him any more attention than he already has. But for those of you who haven't seen our Facebook page in the past few days, on the past week around WrestleMania weekend, you would have heard about it anyways. But yeah, the assailants, but apparently the assailant had been doing several strange tweets to WWE talent for the past month. His name was Zach Medson. He's an amateur MMA fighter. He'd been tagging like Vince McMahon, making threats, and when he'd been tagging The Shield, and when he heard about the women's main event, he said it's a major setback for this human race, telling Mr. McMahon, "You will rule the day you decided to have 3 females main event." Whether he's trying to get some heat on him for his amateur fighting career, I don't know. It seems like he's not completely there. And of all the events, that's one of the most poor, like, disgusting acts you can ever do. And then, like, we finally had the Hall of Fame in the ring rather than all the way up the entrance ramp. I was so looking forward to this. Like, freaking Teddy Hart and Brian Pillman Jr., they were in the crowd. They were watching their uncle, and then this happened. Like, props to Dash Wilder, who freaking, like, clocked him, knocked the guy out. The guy, there was some photos that looked like that he had, like, a broken face, but it wasn't actually that same guy. Yeah, I don't want to give him any more attention than he already has. Bret Hart's issued a statement on the whole thing where he pretty much said it was a wild weekend, and he's glad that he got to honor Jim the Anvil Neidhart for his hospitality, and he's letting people know that he's not injured, he's okay, and I was not going to let anything stop me from tributing my friend, which, awesome. Like, he played that off like an absolute professional. If he had stopped and he had freaked out, the entire Hall of Fame would be ruined, but he acted very calmly, very professionally. It went off without a hitch after that. Well, I should say, not without a hitch completely, because, my God, the Hall of Fame ceremony is just rife with controversy for this year, because apparently a couple of writers have been fired or have left WWE after the issues with how the Hall of Fame ceremony came around. So, one writer for Bret Hart's Hall of Fame speech, apparently there's an unwritten rule in WWE where Vince McMahon does not like anybody talking about him in their Hall of Fame speeches. But apparently this writer gave the go-ahead for Bret Hart to say stuff about Vince McMahon about when he first hired the Hart Foundation. It was good stuff. It was actually positive. But apparently Vince McMahon, that's a big no-no. If it's a big rule that they should have known about, and he fired the guy, like, just on a whim. And it seems like Vince McMahon's temper, like, he can be very bipolar. It depends on how the wind changes with him, like the stories that you hear, like how he had, like, freaking how he reacted to Titus O'Neil a couple years ago, man, like, stuff like that. It just, as much as we want to say, like, he's a smart businessman, like, he's an evil genius, he's a mastermind, he's also a crazy bastard, let's not lie. And, like, sometimes that, for them, that's a good thing, but, yeah, this is weird. And for Road Dogg as well, freaking Road Dogg was actually a writer for SmackDown. He was dealing with storylines, and he actually was not a fan of the sporadic changes that Vince McMahon would make, so he had the final say, of course, because he's the boss. But what was announced, and, like, obviously cards subject to change, like, I understand that as much as anybody, but he would constantly do it, constantly change things, and Road Dogg was just like, you know what, screw you, I've had enough. And yeah, the backstage area for WWE is just rife with controversy this week, not only from Vince McMahon's side, but also Michael Cole. Michael Cole has been in the news for his temper. Like, there's a lot of people backstage that are just pissed off and just angry and creating this culture of just, like, toxic work environment and distrust. So Pat McAfee, he was doing some backstage stuff for WWE before WrestleMania, and before the event started, Michael Cole told him, no jorts, right? And he's like, okay, fair enough. So he cut his tuxedo shorts, like, he cut his tuxedos pants in half. He made them shorts, not jorts. That's a distinction. They're completely different. Look it up if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But Michael Cole saw this, and he went off the handle at him, saying that Vince is going to hate this. Be professional, you idiot. This is your best opportunity you've ever had. You're being a complete imbecile. And he was ready to quit. He was ready to just say, screw this, I'm leaving. But Vince McMahon apparently saw the whole thing, and he thought it was fine. He thought it was funny. Like, again, how the wind changes, Vince McMahon's like, oh no, I like it. Like, that's him. And then Michael Cole apparently apologized as best he could. But even Alex Reyes, former NXT announcer, like, backstage interviewer, he's actually said some shit about Michael Cole as well, where he said that he's a professional and everything else, but he has a very horrible temper. and it causes a lot of controversy backstage. Like, this is like WWE for the longest time. Like, we need, like, as much as, like, there was a story this week where Triple H got interviewed about how he said that Vince McMahon adapts with the times, but you hear shit like this, and I'm sorry to say, I gotta disagree with you, Hunter, because depending on the wind change, like, Vince McMahon sticks to what he knows, and that's just, like, everyone is out for themselves. There's no healthy work environment at the back, and everyone's, like, worried about losing their jobs, and no off season, and all this stuff. Like, all the stuff that John Oliver was talking about last week, it's still there. The issues are still there. It's better than what it was, but the issues are still there. We need to talk about this, guys. We need to address these issues as best we can. It's, like I said, it's getting there, but you know what? There needs to be changes that are made, and that's why I'm loving all the All Elite Wrestling news that's coming out, because they are changing the world. Like, they are trying to make a positive impact on the wrestling scene for all the other promotions to follow, even the local indie shows. We have some other news, guys. I'll talk about Vince McMahon some more because it just keeps going on and on. This one, I can't fault him for too much because this is legitimate. If you watch the WrestleMania main event, you would have seen that it ended a little bit confusingly, a little bit different. So Ronda Rousey got pinned to lose her title. Like, Becky Lynch is now the dual Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. And her shoulders weren't on the mat. Like, they were at one stage and they went off, but the ref kept counting. The ref who did that, it was a big botch on the grandest stage of them all. And it left a big sour taste, like, oh, that's a shame. Apparently the finish was, if you believe the Observer and a couple of things, that it was meant to be Charlotte who taps out to Becky with a disarmer. I could totally see that being the thing, and it seemed like Ronda Rousey as well. I didn't mention her at the start, but it seems like Ronda Rousey, she landed on her hand wrong. She might be out for about 6 months. Like, freaking knee injuries, hand injuries, ACL injuries, like, which, to my point, I'll go back as well. Tyson Baxter here in Australia as well. Like, we're trying to raise some money for him for his surgery. Please, guys, donate what you can for Tyson Baxter for his surgery for his knees, like, because he's going to be out of action for about 2 years, and we can make a difference with him. Seriously, guys, like, do all you can to support him. We really want you guys to help out at, like, however much our word means anything, if you can do that. I'm going off on a tangent, I do apologize, but so apparently the ref, so he made a mistake for this match, and he got fined for it. And Vince McMahon, he took it well, but he wanted to make an example out of the refs, which, understandable. This is understandable. This was a mature way to handle it. He fined him, he did not suspend him, he did not fire him, just he took him backstage. He wanted to make an example of him, saying, like, you need to, like, be on your game because we can't have this shit happen, especially on WrestleMania. This I agree with, but the other stuff, the backstage culture, like friggin' Michael Cole firing the writers, having issues with the writers, making these decisions on the fly, it's complete chaos. There needs to be some structure in WWE. I'm going to be rambling on this for ages, guys, if I keep at it. But anyways, they need to keep doing this stuff. They need to keep, like, figuring out what they need to do, because, my God. Some other stuff that's happened this week, guys. I haven't talked about much indie news. All Elite Wrestling have maybe found their new TV home. So, Fyter Fest has been announced, and it could be on Ted Turner's network, which, this is interesting. This is fascinating to me. Because Ted Turner, of course, was behind WCW, and if the rumors are to be believed, that by the time, like, so the TNT network, they announce all their shows around in May, around this time, so that's going to be around about the time Double or Nothing appears. Makes sense, and then it builds up to October, which is surprisingly around about the same time that SmackDown had their big Fox deal. So SmackDown will move to Fridays live, thank God. For that, it'll be, I believe, October 4th and October 1st. If this turns out to be true, then on the TNT network, Tuesday Night Dynamite, All Elite Wrestling. I'd love it. It all loops back around. I would love for them to be backed by Ted Turner, and I would love this TNT deal to be true. it just makes so much sense to me, and it could be wrong, but Jim Ross even said that they've got a big network like lined up, and the TNT network, they're actually linked to HBO. Like freaking HBO, Game of Thrones, HBO, that's a big deal. If you can get HBO on your side for your billion-dollar promotion that's just started, fresh, hot off the shelf, they have nowhere to go but up with that. I'm really looking forward to how that works out. We have some other news, guys. Al Wilson, unfortunately, has passed away. I believe he was in his 80s. He was the father of Tori Wilson. So if you got into wrestling around about the Ruthless Aggression era, as I did, you would have remembered the story about Al Wilson and his story with Dawn Marie. And yeah, as a kid, this went so over my head. I have the image in my mind of Dawn Marie. Like, she was being way over-sexualized. This is like the era of bra and panties matches. Like, this is not PCW, WWE era. Like, this is the Attitude Era. This was them being risque, and this is being, yeah. And, of course, Al Wilson brought in, like, Tori's actual dad. And in kayfabe, he died during a honeymoon as a result of being oversexed. And it led to a heart attack, which, if there was ever a way to go, like, and unfortunately he has passed away for real. So Tori let out a post on Instagram saying, like, cherish your loved ones while you can. As much as I joke, as much as I say all this stuff, it's sad to hear, and we wish Tori all the very best. And yeah, now he has actually passed away. So give your thoughts and prayers to them. There's a lot of people you should be thinking about. Freaking Vampiro, I believe he announced that he had Alzheimer's online. Like, show your love and support for him. Like, it's not a death sentence. He just needs to, yeah, it's a lot better than what it was, like, especially like he's only like in his early 50s. There's still hope. There's still hope there. And you know what? We just got to keep moving on. We got to keep moving on with what we got. We've got a couple other things before I finish, guys. We've got a couple of weird mystery moments here, a couple other fluff pieces. I was going to end on, out of nowhere, a teenager has been arrested, not suspended, arrested for trying to RKO his principal. Which, what can you say? What can you say when you hear stories like this? I mean, so if you can find the video online, it went viral, and the principal got pissed off. And again, I feel this is an overreaction. Like, the kid could have got suspended. He could have been expelled. We don't know what the history is between the principal and the student. But the fact that it went to trial is so stupid. And the teenager's attorney had to explain to the judge that professional wrestling is rehearsed, that it's scripted, that it's, I'm not using the F word, like, but the F word that everyone attributes to professional wrestling, right? He had to explain that it doesn't work if one person doesn't cooperate. It has to be a agreed upon thing. It doesn't work without a little bit of, like, collaboration. Hint, hint. That apparently the judge was quote unquote befuddled. And this is a big kerfuffle over nothing. Which, it's funny because he tried to use the RKO, and like that's usually a fluff piece that I would end on. But yeah, this is just stupid. This is just like an American story, just like kids being kids, and I don't know. It shouldn't go that far. Just, guys, don't RKO your principals. You might have the urge to. You might have the urge to see someone walk past and give them a pedigree, but just don't do it, man. Just don't do it. Move along, like, as you were. And the final piece I'm going to end on here, guys. Apparently, Google is now New Day approved because the Google Assistant knows who's the champion in SmackDown. So Kofi Kingston is, of course, now the new WWE champion, which Kofi Mania, like, freaking, I called it. I'm so happy with what's happened. But apparently, Xavier tried to ask Alexa who was the champ, and it still had Daniel Bryan listed. And he's just like, this shit's defective. And then he gets a Google Play, and just like, who's the champion? Kofi Kingston is the champion. Nice. I love you, Google Play. It's, yeah. Google Play knows what's up. They are approved by the New Day. You heard it here first, guys. That's this week in wrestling. It's been a big one. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot to unpack, but we're going to keep plodding along. We're going to keep persevering. We're going to give you guys all the wrestling news to keep you guys up to date on what's happening here. If you want to follow me on the socials, I am at Mr. Mysterious with 1-7I. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Hit me up. We'll have a good old chat. What did you think about WrestleMania week? Let me know how you thought about it. If you want to follow our lovely super producer Greg, he is at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. If you want to follow us all collectively as a group on the socials, which why wouldn't you? We're alright. We're getting better. Let us know. So you can follow us at the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit, and the B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. Please donate to our Patreon, guys. And as I mentioned, like to Tyson Baxter's surgery, we want to raise as much money as we can. We'll raise enough awareness as we can for that. Yeah, whatever you can donate to them, to us, to make the whole scene better, it can only be a good thing. So, like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Mr. Mysterious, and I'll see you later.